Okay, so today we will study something that is important from the perspective of just a minute. Let me just record it. Am I recording it? Okay, just a minute. Oh, it's gone actually. Okay. Okay, can you see the screen? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Okay, all right. It's recording. All right. Okay, so today we'll study in brief about local area network because knowledge of this is required to understand internet in general, right? So next lecture will be on internet, and because internet forms a basis for the complete digital transformation, right? Without internet it's not possible to have digital transformation. Okay, for sake of completeness, also for those who have not done a course on networking, this will give brief idea about what local area networks are. Okay, so this is a content. We'll look at what actually a datacom and network in general is. Then we look at what are the requirements of a network, ideal network for digital transformation. Then look at various kind of datacom technologies. So we'll look at LAN, Ethernet, and then see how layer 2 technology, which is essentially Ethernet, interplays with internet. Okay, we will in this course we'll talk about all this is a very abstract level, right? Such that all of you are going to work as an executive, most likely in area which will require IT technologies. And since IT in isolation cannot do anything, so networking will be very important part of any digital transformation. Okay, because without networking, as I said earlier, uh, any kind of transformation is not possible. Okay, so we'll look at these technologies at very abstract level such that you get to know what are these technologies, okay, and how they can in fact help in digital transformation. Okay, so in general, we can say networking is or computer networks that's in the center is coming together of telecom world, okay, and computing world, right? So see, note that any network that we have requires routers, switches, bridges, and all other devices which are essentially which has significant part of computer. Okay, and data communication otherwise is not possible uh, without having basic computer as part of equipment. And then there is a telecommunication world. Telecommunication could be wireline communication, that's over wire, or it could be over fiber, or it could be over air, or it could be satellite, right? And all these technologies work at the lower level. Okay, however the basic, so basically when we are sending uh, data over say satellite communication, the basic communication that's happening underneath could be some form of radio communication, which may be analog communication. Okay, but we are sending on top of that digital signals. Similarly, on mobile communication, the basic, the from your mobile phone up to say base station, your signals are going over radio link, and that radio link at the lowest level is just radio wave, which is analog in nature, right? So we are so essentially underneath technology, which is telecommunication technology, could be analog or digital, or it could be radio wave, or the simple plain copper wire, or it could also be fiber, wherein signal is in the form of optical signals, not electrical signals. And then when all these two technologies come together, we have something called computer networks. We started evolving from 1960 onwards, and now we have largely networks or data communication Okay, where top at the top an application, it could be any kind of application. It could be sensors which are generating analog signals converted into digital signal, and then applications are using this, and then this application, which is primarily coded in terms of zeros and ones, uses some kind of networking protocol, say TCP, okay, or sockets, and then sends data underneath, right? And it comes down to finally a physical layer, okay, and physical layer wherein there's a wire or optical link or radio wave, and finally goes to other end. Okay, so all right, so this slides gives the idea about the world that we see today is combination of coming togetherness of two technologies, which is computers as well as basic telecommunication. Now you think of a network. Okay, what do you need in a network? You are sending bits at one end, and bits should come to other end. That's all is in plain and simple, right? What else you can think of requirement? Anyone? In fact, you have in front of you all these requirements, right? See, what is really needed? I mean, there is one application that's running here. It could be, or maybe sensors, giving you data, and then there is some program which you call it as application, and sending it to say some cloud here, or computer is in a cloud, or a server. What do you need for that? First thing first is that wherever I want to send must be reachable, right? So if it is a server, for example, okay, so sensor may be here in say Goa, and this cloud or server may be in say Bangalore. First thing first is that, and I'm sure this server will have some address from this sensor network or some device here, it should be reachable to this place, right? So high connectivity is required. Or server could as well be somewhere in, say, for example, in San Jose, okay, or New York for that matter, right? So it should be able to go to whatever address is given at that place, right? So there's a first requirement of high connectivity. Okay, second is of course high bandwidth. So my sensor is generating huge, it's not single sensor or a set of sensors generating huge amount of data. Okay, and I should be able to communicate at very high speed here. Or let's take another example. There is a video conferencing happening or conference call happening, and there's hundreds of participants participating in the conference. Okay, then data requirement could be very high. Okay, so digital transformation does not mean that it's only for industrial things or IoT, but also could be educational institutes, right? I mean, how we can transform, say, schools into totally digital schools, such that best teachers available anywhere in the world can teach those students. So let's assume that scenario. Then we need high bandwidth. Okay, so this network should be able to provide high bandwidth. Now, when we say bandwidth, in general, it's nothing but data number of data bits we can send in a second. Okay, higher the number of bits we send, higher the bandwidth. So a typical we can say high bandwidth is, say, for example, gigabit per second. But most applications that we use today won't use gigabit per second. Maybe say 10 mbps, megabits per second to 100 mbps could be reasonably good speed. Okay, now that's second thing. Third thing is that I don't want to pay for something that I am not using. See, today I may be using for this call maybe 1 mbps. Tomorrow I may be using 100 mbps, and I will be using only for 1 hour. Why should I pay for? So today, even in today's technology, Can I pay on demand? Anybody? Anyone? Raj Hansni?
Yes, sir. Could you please repeat the question?
The question is that can we pay on demand today? Suppose I am using 1 Mbps for 1 hour, and then maybe next hour I may want to use 100 Mbps only for say 50 minutes. Is there a technology today that will support bandwidth on demand and payment on demand? Is it right?
Yes, sir. It is possible.
Yeah, it's possible, but is it available? No. Okay, it's not available today. The wherein you can demand from service provider different kind of bandwidths. Okay, it's available for computing. If you go to the cloud provider and say that I want some number of computers for next half an hour, then double number of computers for 1 hour, and so on, you can always demand that. But today service providers don't provide bandwidth on demand, okay, and pay you for that and charge you for that. Okay. Thirdly, I want real-time communication. Many application may want real-time communication. For example, a server in a place is controlling an autonomous vehicle or autonomous car or self-driving car. Now, if you are using technology that where the delays are variable and packet loss are allowed, and you cannot set a deadline for the delay, so you may want the server a response from server should reach automated car or self-driving car within say less than 1/100th of millisecond, which is quite big time. I mean, it's not very small delay, but say 1/100th of millisecond my response should reach. Is there a technology which will guarantee this? Anyone? Can on internet you give any guarantee? Anyone who has done networking course can answer this. Please attempt. See, network, internet, do they give any guarantee to you? Some of you are using broadband at home. Have you looked at the service contract they give? They say 100 Mbps. That too, there is no guarantee of any kind. I mean, that could be peak speed. Could also be during the night time at 2 a.m. in the morning. But they don't guarantee anything. So in internet world, there is no guarantee. Okay, can you say that I want my packets, internet packets or IP packets to reach server within say 1/10th of millisecond or even 1 millisecond. Otherwise, company has to give me penalty, I mean some money, because they are breaking their SLA, service level agreement. So can we give that? Can we say that? Anybody?
No, sir.
So there's no guarantee, right? So how do you run? How do you control a factory or autonomous car from somewhere? That's the question. Okay, so the normal internet world does not give any guarantee. Does it give guarantee, for example, for high reliability? It means that all my packets, all my data should reach to other end. Is a guarantee given by ISP, internet service providers like Airtel or maybe BSNL or Verizon in US, right? Any of these?
So, but that is the job of the transport layer, right?
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. But uh, it means that basic network does not give any reliability, does not guarantee any reliability. Okay. Basic network does not. Now it is left to and parties to make it reliable. But I may have, I will put it another way. I may have applications that cannot afford retransmission. See, reliability at the end using TCP or any other method you are achieving by requesting for retransmission. That's all. Now I may be running an application that may not have this kind of flexibility. Suppose a surgeon in New York is doing online surgery to a patient in India, right? So there, the control of say robot in India has to be done very precisely and accurately. Okay, so this kind of, and then it cannot afford to have milliseconds of delay. So in that kind of scenario, it's where application requires high reliability. Retransmission is not a feasibility, and then basic internet protocol may not work properly. Okay, so it's like the example is given. Example what people cite is that, see, if the highways are very big and there's no traffic, then can you guarantee that you will reach to other city in some time? Because there might be accidents in between, right? So and remember that the internet in general works on probability. There are packets, and packets are available on the road. Okay, and then they travel, and there can be accidents. No, there is absolutely no guarantee even at the time of packet admission. It's like, I mean, you just enter the road and you have to go to from Bangalore to Mysore. I cannot say that I will reach in hour and a half, even if roads are empty, because there might be something in between. Okay, so today's technologies that we use in general are the largely meant for satisfying requirements of large number of applications, but surely not meant or not designed for absolute real-time communication. But most of the time it works, because when we see say matches over over internet, okay, then sometimes there may be some frame, some delay, and sometimes there may be delay or jitter, but most of the time it works. So most of the time, most of the things that we do work because at the back end is all statistical multiplexing. I mean, packets from different sources get merged. Now if there is no crowd in there, or there not much traffic, then everything happens all right. Otherwise there can be extremely high delays. Okay, and then what also happens is that significant, if you look at what is Airtel's maximum expense, okay, you'll find that a significant part of expense is not in initial purchase of equipment, etc., but something called OSS BSS, operational support system, and business support system. For example, you as a new customer join, then for you lot of things needs to be provisioned in the system, right? Database, your entry, your name, database, how much data you are using, all measurements, then billing, and then customer care entries and all that. See, so this thing, managing a customer and managing a customer connection could be very expensive. In general, it is quite expensive. Okay, so we want that, suppose I am asking for a connection, or my device is asking for a connection or extra features, then it should be done automatically and at very fast way, because the moment humans are involved, it will be very expensive. Okay, so manageability and operational support for ideal network should be available, or it should be done automatically. Okay. And then network agility, as we discussed earlier, that our network's demand or customers demand will vary. Okay. And then adoption of that by service provider has to be at very fast pace, because requirements will continuously change. Okay, then can it be done? For example, now we have some degree of automation. For example, I am using now 100 Mbps link that comes over fiber, and if I want from say evening in speed to be increased to 200 Mbps, I can do it on portal. Okay, that started happening now. Just few say 1 year back, I had to make a phone call, and then person will say okay, they will see whether feasible, and then after a week it would have happened, right? So my suppose I have a IoT device or connected to a sensor, and there is some intelligence in that device, can it make a request for higher bandwidth? So that's kind of thing that we'll want in future. Of course, low cost is important. Security is very important issue, which we'll discuss in future, because as world is getting connected and more connected, anybody can hijack your network, your device. Okay, we'll spend one full hour on looking at security aspects. Okay, and support for low level protocols and technologies. Of course, we'll look at this again. All right, any question up to this point? Okay, all right. So these are, there are hundreds of protocols. Okay, these are some of these we often use, but I would think that number of protocols or number of technologies are more than 100, maybe 500, 600, or sometimes 1,000. Okay, so many technologies exist, and that's the reason networking is generally very complex thing. Okay, but once we try to structure it little bit, the basic concept are the same. Okay, it may be very confusing to understand what is frame relay, for example, what is ATM, and possibly very few people are using it now, and remaining you can see Sonnet is again layer 2 technology and so on. So but once we understand the basic things, then it is very simple to understand the overall picture. For example, in real life, if task of internet protocol is to send packets, it's like sending your parcels from your home to someone, maybe your parent or your friend somewhere in totally different city. Now you need to understand that the packet will go over some transport mechanism, right? So for example, you give it to a transport company, and transport company can send it over truck, or it can send it over airlines, or send it over railways, and so on. So but that is none of your concern. But once you're designing system, then you will know that from my there is a protocol, some set of rules. When suppose it's going through a truck, okay, then they set a protocol that somebody will take a note of it. It will be placed somewhere clubbed with other packets which are going to similar destination, and at the end of that truck route, truck path, it will be taken out, and again it will bundled with something else and go on to say rail route, and so on. So these are the basic protocols. Similarly, we in order to run internet packets, there are large number of underneath technologies which we call a layer 2 technologies, underneath transport technologies, and their responsibility is only to transfer packet between a connection, between a link, or between one piece of wire. Okay, so these are layer 2 technologies, and IP works at layer 3. Okay, so we'll understand these concepts one maybe in the next lecture. Okay, all right. So there are a large number of protocols, and some of them could be very complex, like GSM protocol. It's a It's so complex that even its description is in say 300-400 pages manual. Okay, and it was first time, when I was trying to understand it 20 years back, it took me about a month to even get the grasp of it, right? So it's quite complex. But today's networks are much simpler, and we can see one such network here. You know, see, look at this one. It's an enterprise network, right? Or within a corporate, within a company, right? So what we have essentially is that this enterprise network is connected to outside world or to its main office or something through internet. Okay, so this is internet, and what we see here is nothing but a router that will send the traffic outside. Within that, we have something where we have number of machines connected in a part of the corporate network that we call it local area network, LAN, say Ethernet. Okay, and then of course the part of this local area network is this kind of wireless nodes that can connect to any device, uh, say for example laptop, through Wi-Fi. So this Wi-Fi network also forms a part of local area network. Okay, all right, so we'll see what this local area networks is and how they are connected to internet. All right, any question on this part? Are you able to understand it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, please feel free to ask question if you don't understand anything, because this is at very abstract level. Okay, so within a home, for example, we are also using LAN. See, many of you will have a Wi-Fi router. Okay, Wi-Fi router is connected to, of course, external world over fiber or maybe DSL, digital subscriber loop, or it could be over Ethernet also. Okay, and then within that, different devices are connected to Wi-Fi network, and this forms a local area network. Okay, also there can be a directly you can pull a cable from this router, Wi-Fi router, and connect a laptop. That's also possible. Okay, so this forms also something called local area network. Okay, and then on top we have a mobile network, like your mobile phone. When you connect your mobile phone, you are doing, say, uh, suppose you are right now you are attending this call through a mobile phone, and then mobile phone in turn is connected to, if you're not connected to Wi-Fi, for example, why your Wi-Fi is off, or if you're out of home, then you will connect it through nearest base station. Again, your mobile is sending IP packets. Okay, and from the this base station is connected to the router. Okay, and then communication is happening till the other end, right, where you're talking to a landline, or it could also be talking to somebody, or you're attending, say, video conference like this, right? So depending on where the destination is, uh, connection will happen. Okay, but remember one thing, that in any wireless network, it's never end-to-end wireless. Your mobile phone connection only up to nearest base station or nearest tower you see where antennas are, only that part is wireless. All the rest is wireline. It means that you are making a phone call to your friend somewhere in US, only very small portion, the whole path between your mobile phone up to base station is on wireless, rest of it is on wireline, excepting that at the end, last end, again, if the subscriber is on mobile, then that could also be wireless. But most rest of the part between two end parties is is mainly wireline. Okay, all right. So let's now look at what local area network is. Okay, So any network, in general, we can classify into many ways. First is local area network based on the locality. When we say local area, essentially it is 100 meters, maybe 200 meters, maybe 300 meters. That's it, not beyond that. Okay, local area networks usually within a corporate, within a home, or maybe some small area covered by the network. When we say wide area network, is could be anything. The network that connects to local area networks over, say, internet is a wide area network. It could go on to 100 kilometers, 10,000 kilometers, or whatever. It doesn't matter, right? This is one way of classification based on the area. Second way of classification is what is the access technology, whether it's a wireline or wireless. Say, for example, we have Wi-Fi. This is local area network, but over wireless because you use radio wave. Okay, or it could be wireline where you connect your laptop through a cable to a switch, right? All right. It could also be wireless, could be mobile or non-mobile. For example, your Wi-Fi network, there is a very limited amount of mobility, say within your home, etc. Right? But generally, it could also be fixed point. Maybe one router, for example, today we have mesh networks. So one router to another router may not be mobile, but both are stationary, but still over wireless, right? But mobility, when we say true mobility, it could be actually you move from your home to market, still you remain connected over a call, right? So that's called truly mobile network. Okay, or from you move from Goa to Delhi, still you can make a phone call. Okay, so we will look at how actually this happens, how customers can move from one place to another place yet can receive call. So this is basic mobility concept. We'll study little later if time permits. Okay. Okay, and we see local area networks everywhere, and it's a very important part of digital transformation. We can see local area networks within factories, home, offices, shops, everywhere, even outside. If your government provides some hotspots. Okay, so there are various flavors of LAN. We'll look at some of these. Okay, this is a typical corporate LAN. Okay, this is how corporate or any company usually gets structured, and we, of course, there will be something here that you can see is local area network, right? Okay, this is also a local area network, and they are in turn connected to, again, depends on where the router is, but in general this is one segment of local area network. Say we can say LAN 1, this is LAN 2, and they may connected to a bigger LAN. Okay, and there will be somewhere or other there will be some kind of router. I'm not sure where it's shown here. So because right now when we say LAN, these are actually working at layer 2, which is we also call data link layer. We'll look at this concept little later. Okay, local area network essentially connects computers in local area. Okay, and they share the basic medium, say either a wire or a wireless, right? Okay, now there are various flavors of local area network. One, we have seen something that we use in corporate or home, like we have seen something that we use in home. For example, the first diagram we have seen that. Oh, okay. And okay, here, say for example, this could be home, this could be just a home, right? Or office, it doesn't matter, right? I mean, yeah, this is a home network, typical home network. There is a router and connected to Wi-Fi switch, or maybe both of them can be a simple one router, and they connected to various uh, laptops or devices or mobile over Wi-Fi link. Okay, and then we have a flavor of that we call it in-vehicle network, WAN in general, and one type of WAN is called controller area network, CAN. Okay, so type is again a type of Ethernet, okay, but meant only or designed specially for uh, in-car communication or in-vehicle communication, right? So then there will be some changes in the basic protocol. Okay. Um, all right. Similarly, there is something called MOST. Okay. Uh, Also, there is another kind of network called LIN and so on, right? So these are the basic different kind of local area networks meant especially for very specific application. But in general, these are flavors of the, some kind of some flavors of Ethernet in some sense, right? So we'll not get into any detail, but what I want to say is that local area network can exist for various application, and there may be some or other change in the basic protocol, okay, or hardware. For example, for industrial internet, industrial local area network Ethernet, it's very important that all the wires are RF proof, radio frequency proof. Radio frequency, because industrial environment there will be a lot of radio signals and can in fact corrupt the data that's going on. So there are a lot of such designs are available, and uh, actually there are large number of products available on industrial Ethernet. Okay, and there are various others, right? I mean, some can actually give more control over timing. Okay, and something that is very common is called wireless sensor networks. Okay, so there are a lot of sensors available, for example, in environment, and then they connect to each other through some radio link. These are all radio links, right? And so the network here that they form is called wireless sensor network. Okay, uh, sensor network. So we use wireless sensor networks in IoT. IoT, will study IoT. It's nothing but Internet of Things. How different things, which are intelligent things, can be interconnected over internet. So various devices with some computer available, connection over internet. Okay, so we'll study that little later. Okay. Uh, in brief, let's look at how LAN works, and then we'll move on to internet, because interconnection between LANs happens over internet. So I have a LAN here in IIT Goa, and then IIT Goa suppose has a campus somewhere else. If suppose there are multiple campuses, these two LANs will be interconnected over internet. Okay. Another example, within IIT Goa also there can be different departments. There are different departments in different buildings. Okay, each may be running, each will have a LAN connecting faculty members in that area, and they can be uh, interconnected to each other over a corporate network which is running essentially internet. Okay, there is also possibility that some people who are sitting in academic office belong to computer science department. There are other people like me, for example, I sit in mining department, and we are sitting on different LANs, but we can create a logical LAN, which we call it VLAN, by doing proper routing at higher level, right? So those are some concepts. Possibly if you do studies on local area network in detail, you will understand that. So Ethernet is the de facto technology for LAN. Earlier, there were many technologies like token bus. It started with token ring, in fact. Then came token bus. Then came this Ethernet. Sometimes this happened, sometimes 1980s, around 80s, and so on. And then since then, Ethernet is the technology. Okay, for local area network. So whenever we talk of LAN or local area network, we are talking about Ethernet. Okay, so Ethernet was invented in Xerox in 1973. Okay, and then this is originally it was a local area networking technology. It's mainly local area network, but the Ethernet packets can be sent over thousands of kilometers nowadays, because there is, we'll discuss that there's no concept of collision anymore, and over fiber there is hardly any charge loss or shape or any loss, distortion in signal, right? So we can use the same frame format or packet format to send data over long distance, right? And this and as the technology improved, right, initially it was using unshielded twisted pair, now we use fiber, the speed has also gone up like this, right? So now we can send, say, hundreds of gigabit per second. So 10 gigabit per second ports are available. At this speed I can send Ethernet packets. Okay. All right, any question up to this point? I know it's little difficult for people who are non-CS students to understand. Any question? Are you able to understand this?
Yes, sir. A little bit revision will clear many things.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I know it's very, very abstract. So basically, please understand that at lowest level in any network, we use some kind of cable or some medium, okay, or media, right? So we have something that we use nowadays is called UTP, unshielded, which is non-shielded twisted pair. Okay, so this is kind of aluminum or copper, depending on manufacturing, and then these are extremely cheap. This is a pair of wire comes, right? If you just open up a cable that comes to your desktop from router, you will see just a pair of wire. Okay, so it's a unshielded. It means that there is, shielding. There's no shielding here. Like here you see shielding, metal shield, that is required for protection or interference between signals. So when we use unshielded twisted pair, then of course there will be interference. So speed limitations are there. How much fast you can go, how much fast you can send signals to, right? Okay, so STP is, of course, I mean, it comes with metal shield, so is expensive. Not many places we use STP. Say industrial environment, you may still want to use STP or fiber. Now fiber cable, as we've seen earlier, carries fiber signals which are zeros and ones in terms of light, whether light is available or not. The beauty of fiber cable is that, fiber medium is that you can send thousands of rays parallelly in a when I say thousands, actually more than 10,000, for example, rays you can send parallelly within single strand of wire or single fiber. Okay, so within single fiber you can send. So there is enormous amount of bandwidth available, which is fine. Okay, and because optical signals or zeros and ones that you send as a light ray is, of course, light does not get impacted because of magnetism, right? So there is no impact of any electromagnetic waves or some kind of field, magnetic field or electric field around. So, and this has become so cheap and so convenient that even at our homes we have fiber optical cable. Earlier nobody could have thought that it will become so cheap, right? And of course, whenever you have wire, then it does not give flexibility of movement, right? So even in corporates nowadays, they don't use wires anymore. They use only Wi-Fi. Okay. So because it gives flexibility, like in my home office, I can move from one table to another table, to one room to another room, or Wi-Fi. Okay. So Wi-Fi is another way of connecting Ethernet. Okay. So it's based on packet switching. It means that we have any information that is sent over Ethernet is sent over a packet. So when we say packet, or even look at physical packets that we send or parcels we send, it has some area which can carry data or useful stuff. For example, you're sending a parcel to your friend, then inside that could be some stuff, right? Maybe book. And then here at the top, you will write address. Similarly, here in any packet, whether IP packet or Ethernet packet, there will be data area and then there is an address area where it's a source address, destination address, and there will be some control area also, right? For some other thing, for example, here you can put a sticker that something that's inside is fragile, okay, or priority, transfer, etc., right? All these things can also be there. So in general, just think that any packet, whether IP packet or Ethernet packet, consists of data area and address area. Okay, now this address has to be unique. Okay, even within internet world, address within the area is always unique. Okay? We'll see, and over time, as we discussed, speed has gone up to 1000. Now it's this is 1 gigabit per second. Now it's gone to 10 gigabit per second per port. Okay, there's a huge amount of speed, right? I mean, we are using, just to visualize, we are using now say 1 Mbps for this video conference, if you see the video also, right? And then within now 1 gigabit will be 1000 such sessions, right? 1000 times this 1000 such video sessions can go over 1 gigabit per second. Okay, and it means that within the channel that's coming to my laptop, I can fork of 1000 such sessions if my laptop and router supports 1 gigabit per second speed. Okay, so now my router supports 100 megabits per second. It means that I can have 100 such sessions in the best case. Okay, all right. The protocol that Ethernet uses is called CSMACD, Carrier Sense Multiple Access Collision Detection. So we'll look at that now, very brief, right? So the protocol that we are using right now in the class, I am speaking and you are listening. Okay, is a form of CSMACD, or Carrier Sense Multiple Access Collision Detection. So it's like this: when I speak, you listen. So this guy is speaking, this guy is sending. So it may be sending a signal to, say, for example, this one, right? But all others will listen at this point in time that something is going on. Okay, if I am sending very personal thing, even then if some node wants, it can listen to. Okay, but one basic protocol they need to follow is that when this guy is sending, no other person will send. They will only can be listener. This guy could be active listener, this could be passive listeners. Okay, that's all. Now what happens is that if somebody else start transmitting, then there will be collision. Okay, so if there is a collision, then collision must be detected by everybody. So this guy will detect that there is a collision, this guy will also detect there is a collision, and they will restart transmission. Okay, so it means the basic protocol of CSMACD is that when one machine is transmitting, all others have to listen to. Okay, and then if two machines start transmitting together, then there can be collision, then everyone will abandon it and restart transmission after some time. There might be another collision, then they have to restart again. Okay, as simple as that. And one can start transmission only when it senses the channel is free. When channel is free, so basically when I am talking, I will start talking when nobody else is talking. Okay, I will hear when I will sense the silence, only then I will start talking. And at that time, if I start talking and you also start talking, it may happen there is a collision. Then now we are both peer. On internet world, everyone is peer, right? Or Ethernet is everyone is peer. So both may start at the same time. Again, there will be collision. So the protocol says that everyone has to wait for random amount of time and then restart. Okay, then probability of collision will be less. Okay, so I'm giving a very simplified version of protocol. So the same protocol, first it is still being used. Now because there was a simple wire here. Okay, just a minute, I will clean it up. So this was a simple wire that runs through whole department. and anybody put a tap to this one and connect the machine. Okay, this was first Ethernet that came. It means that this is on this everyone has to transmit. All right, and this was not very handy, and there was a list. Suppose this guy started malfunctioning this connection, then the whole network will be down. Okay, so these were the problems. Then people came with this idea that you can connect, instead of just putting a hole into wire. Actually, it was a hole. You'll dig a hole and connect it through connector. Instead of that, wire will go to each computer and so on. Again, this was called thin Ethernet, but this was also not popular, because what, suppose this malfunctions, then what will happen? All those questions came, right? Nevertheless, so nowadays what we use is called hub technology, or instead of hub we can also have switch, wherein each machine or each laptop or each desktop will be connected over a wire, which is generally unshielded twisted pair, to the hub. So it means that if you have uh, you know if you have wire connection, it means all wires wherever the computer is will run to a common hub somewhere in the department. Okay, so we use this technology. Now instead of using, now if you know in the first case, if you club this together, right, put them together or collapse it, then what you get is here. Okay, it may be just passive thing, whatever comes here it will go to all other links, right? Whatever comes here will go to, that's called hub. Just nothing but whatever signal comes goes to everyone else. So then there is no difference between this one and here. But if you put a switch here, okay, suppose this guy is sending a packet for second one, then this guy after this switch will, after receiving a packet, will send it only to second one, not to anybody else, right? That's called switch. So nowadays we don't have hubs, but we have switches. Now if there is a switch, then there won't be collision, right? Because if my packet is going to third guy, then switch will send it only to third guy. Okay, what I am telling is very top level thing, but of course there could be some chances of collision because of some other reason. We'll discuss, we may not want to discuss that later, now. So this was the first technology that we use, called thick Ethernet or thin Ethernet. It was called coaxial cable or bus based technology. And now we have switches. Computer can be anywhere in the department, but wire will run to a switch. Okay, so there is no collision. Suppose a packet comes here for this one, this guy will know where the destination is and send it here. Packet goes here, from here to this place, again it will be switched to a different output port. All right, okay, any question? Okay, another few minutes, let me close. It's already over, time is over. Okay, so gigabit Ethernet is which works as 1000 megabits per second over fiber. Of course, we will not discuss that. Okay, so these are various flavors of Ethernet. Okay, this is again the same thing, the switch or hub to which number of machines are connected. Okay, all right. So, all right. So we will, okay, let's look at this way. So we have this Ethernet. Okay, these are different machines connected to hub or switch. Okay, and there are various ports. Okay, now of course there is something called learning switches, etc., which will not go into detail. But now next level is that these Ethernet are connected to routers. Okay, and then one router is connected to another router, to third router, and so on until the destination reaches. Okay, this is another LAN here. Okay, so your packet goes from Ethernet. Okay, of course on top of Ethernet it will use IP protocol, and that IP protocol, destination IP protocol, will give, say for example this machine here. So now from your LAN, this packet will go to this router because this is also connected to this LAN. Okay, and this router will find out that where the destination is and where should it route to. Okay, so it will find out that if it has multiple connections, it will route to this particular router. This guy will also look at the destination address, destination IP address, will send it to the router, and finally it will go to local area network, and that local area network will get delivered to this one using corresponding Ethernet address. Okay, so there are a number of protocols to do all this activity, but in general we can see it this way, that on internet there are large number of routers, okay, and they are connected to each other. Not everyone is connected to everybody else, but they are connected in some way, and then they know how to route the packet for a destination, right? So this is called routing protocol. So it's very simple. It's like this. You know, when you send a parcel through post office, it could be also for Himachal Pradesh or could be Rajasthan or somewhere else, but the postman or the sorting person will know where it, what route it should follow, right? For example, from Goa to Delhi, route could be many, but the local postman, based on some information, will know how to route the packet, your parcels, right? Similarly, on internet, each router has some intelligence. Okay, it has some table built into it, and in order to build that table, we will say that if the destination is for particular IP address, send it to a particular link. All that information gets collected using some exchange protocol that will exchange information among each other, and they will form common understanding, right? And there are protocols for that, is called BGP, OSPF, and ISIS. Possibly you will do networking course and find out this, right? So that's all. So basically, from your local area network, if you are sending it to some different network, it will go over internet. As simple as that, right? And then internet or routers in between find out the route by themselves. So your packet will finally reach the destination, and there it can be opened up and used by application. Okay, so what we have discussed today is in very abstract level, right? Normally about 15 classes are required to understand what we have discussed, but this is just to give very simple understanding of what local area network and internet is. So next two classes will look at internet in some detail, such that you get abstract view, because if you are going to use tomorrow internet, then you will get fairly good idea about its capabilities and whether how can you use it. All right, okay, any question? Any question? All right, then thank you very much.